Welcome back to the Exploring Growth podcast. Today I had the opportunity to speak with Dominique Frazier, a pricing strategist. Super interesting conversation. I'd say that anybody who wants to get higher prices for what they're selling and clients that stay on for longer, this is the episode for you. All right, welcome back, and I have Dominique Frazier here today. Welcome, Dominique. Yeah. So, as it goes, I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I've met a lot of unique people on LinkedIn that do all kinds of different things. And I love growing my local and global network. And so our paths crossed, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to get together and kind of talk about some of the things that you're doing as it might relay to the audience that's listening. So if you wouldn't mind, just give a quick introduction to yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Dominique Frazier, and I love to say it in French. So Dominique Frazier, and actually, I'm a pricing and offer strategist or consultant. Why I decided to choose that specific title? Because there are so many, business growth specialists out there, and I really wanted to focus more on pricing and helping actually B2B clients, so people who are actually serving B2B, to increase their pricing, but also increase their profit margins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. And I in my travels of working with clients of all kinds, one of the things that I end up finding myself talking about a lot actually is the sales process. And sometimes it's specifically we're talking about the sales process, and sometimes we're talking about it in light of what marketing's doing to drive qualified opportunities into that process. And when we talk about it, a lot of it has to come back to the value that they're offering in that pipeline, in their process of selling, demonstrating their expertise. So we talk a lot about value and how to tee that value up for the client so that you can lead them through. That's one differentiator I see for a lot of companies is not just being a vendor, even if you are a vendor, but being more of a lead to the client to lead them through the process, educate them, continually educate them. When we're finding in the marketing funnel, it's all about, educating, high value content, all of that. So when it gets to sales, it should be ramped up, even I think in context to the buyer you're talking to. So, talking to you today, I think it's great to have this conversation about pricing and value. So tell me a little bit about some of the type of clients you work for and type of work that you do.
Yeah, I started to sell my own knowledge online since 2010. And at that time, I was a graphic designer and I was teaching photo retouching actually online. And then after a few years, a lot of people came to me to ask me, how did you manage to sell your own knowledge all over the world and sell high ticket offers? And this is where I started. It's more like in 2016 that I started to coach people how to create first their own business, create certifications online, masterminds. And then I realized that the same problem was happening for every one of my clients. They had an offer, but it was not quite right. I just realized that sometimes when people are very close to their business, they think they know what's worth the most in the business. So they will tell me, Dominic, I just want more leads for that specific offer. And then I look at them and at their genius and what they're selling, it's not their genius. Because usually when someone have a genius, something that comes to them like very easily, they're just the best at it, they don't see it because they don't value it. It's so easy, it's like, nobody will pay me for what I'm doing so easily. So I realized that with the time, I was actually helping my clients rethink their offer first, and also rethink their ideal clients, because they were actually not targeting the good people. And also because we were creating this offer with their genius, then we could hire their pricing like very high, and they were actually the first really surprised, about like maybe before they were charging 100 per hour, and now they could charge 15K, 25K for a few days with the same clients. It was just actually the way they would
Yes.
position themselves, and also the way they would sell that specific offer of theirs. I can give you some ideas,
Yeah.
some
So it's
example if you want.
for sure. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love it.
Okay, I had this clients, that came to me. She's a motion designer. Okay, so she's a service provider. So usually I'll always work with coaches, service providers. I will work with consultant too, experts. Okay, and this specific person, she was super good at what she was doing. She was doing motion design. So people would come to her to create animation, maybe for their, website, to explain their own offer. And then what I realized is, yes, she was a graphic designer converted into a motion designer expert, but actually she was just accepting every, contract that would come her way, like she would pass like a lot of time creating animated Christmas cards or having like videos
Yeah.
on her client's website, but actually once the clients paid the video and put it on their website, that's what it, nobody was doing anything to bring leads on the website. So we realized actually that what she was very good at, it was to, yes, to build those animation, but also to show to her clients how to bring leads to their website, and how she could actually create more than one video throughout the client's journey. So instead now, because before we met, she was charging 3,000, 4,000 for, per project, per clients. And then we created actually like different level of offers with different, kind of kind of videos, and also an different amount of videos. And then she ended up with 3 packages, like 50,000, 25,000, and 50,000. And when she started her sell 2 weeks later, she was already selling her first 25K offer. But we changed also her positioning. Instead of being a motion design specialist, she became actually a sales, an expert in creating tools for sales team through video. We changed the way she was actually selling her expertise.
Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of what you're doing is reframing it for the client, so they can understand. They can look at it from a different perspective, a different mindset about how they view value. And I'm making some notes here as you're talking. There's so many things that are kind of popping, as you're talking. I think one thing that speaks to me if I'm talking to like a mid-level company, it's what you're talking about with this individual client plays, because there's different markets that you can sell your service or your product in, and each of those markets have different values. So for your client, she could go on Fiverr and put an offer out, a package out for $100 or $1,000 as a max package, and someone could get a lot of value from that, but she's not getting the max value for the skill that she has, the values that she can ultimately bring. But it's mainly just due to one, a mindset, but also a market. So, being able to find a market that's intrinsically sees a higher value, so you have to find that market. And then when you're in it, it's about leading them through that new perspective. So you're changing the perspective and saying, okay, they're coming to you asking for motion design, animation. Well, what other things does this touch? There's
Exactly.
other things that inform or add value that you need to help bring them along into, so they can see that. Well, first of all, demonstrating, I think, that you're an expert in what you do because you see the bigger picture of what's happening, and then being able to involve them in it. So there's so many things that I think that you're saying that are of value, and I think the kind of bow on the package is mindset.
And what is interesting also is that I'm not just working on the packaging of the offer and how to sell it. And because, yeah, I'm doing that. But half of
Hmm.
my job, actually, it's more to help the
Sure.
entrepreneurs to see their own value. Like, for an example, we talked about Caroline
Hmm.
here, that it was her name. And before, she was just actually, when she was offering a video at 3,000, 4,000, she was calculating the time her team and her would take to produce this video. You
Hmm.
know, oh, it's, I don't know, 100,
Yes.
150 per hour. So here the total.
Hmm.
But what I actually have her realize is, yeah, but you're not just creating a video anymore, because actually she decided to refuse those Christmas cards and those unrelevant video that she was asked to do. And I told her, just focus on the ones that you're the best. And also don't forget that when you're working 1 hour, actually you're working more than an hour, because usually you will work before that specific hour with the client. You will think about the project, prepare yourself. So you will
Hmm.
start working, and then you will meet the clients, and then you will start thinking
Hmm.
about, their video or their product, or their what you will build for them. And then you will sometimes wake up during the
That's
night
right.
having some ideas, and then during your shower in the morning you will have other ideas, and you will keep, you will start
Yeah.
focusing on that clients. And actually you will be at a point where you kind of just thinking about this client 24 hour a day. To produce the best
Hmm.
video ever, they need to convert leads like crazy. You see? So that's the difference. And also what I
Yeah.
told her, maybe you can sometimes, instead of just asking for an hour fee, you can add some bonuses to this. So if we're taking this specific example, I told her, do you know how the videos are, converting on, do you know how many people are seeing those video? But she told me, no, once the clients
Hmm.
take the video, I don't see anything. So I told her, why not include in your package a bonus that you will be hosting the video on your own Vimeo? So you will see, you will be able also to see after 3, 6
Yeah.
months what's going on with that specific video on your client's, website, and you will see that it's not performing enough. So so this gives
Hmm.
her the opportunity to go back to the client and says, you know what, let's, change a little bit of stuff, maybe the introduction, to see how it goes from now.
Yeah.
And you can also implement in your package a little video, a pre-recorded video, that how to attract leads to
Hmm.
your website, and you're giving this to your client.
Hmm.
So those things are all little things that you just need to produce once, that can increase, the value of your offer, actually.
It sounds like, what you're describing is someone who is more of a problem solver for the client, versus just a service delivery person. You're taking them from being a person that has a skill set in some way. But, it's like a mechanic. I can fix your car, but let me ask you a few questions first to make sure if I even need to do this thing for you. And if I do, maybe it needs to be done in a different way. So it sounds like it's a problem solving type of mentality versus um, just delivering on a scope of work.
It's just the way you are, providing your offer. Just think about a chiropractor, okay, versus a person
Hmm.
like doing massage, a massage therapist. Actually, they're doing the same job. Okay, not exactly the same, because one maybe went to school like a little bit
Hmm.
longer, and but actually it's one
Hmm.
hour with a client, and doing something, like treating the clients for 1 hour. So it's the same kind, okay, of service. Okay, but the
Yeah.
difference, why chiropractors are rich and selling their business when they are retired, and why, massage therapists, they're poor, and once
Hmm.
they decide to like let go of that business, it's done. They're just closing their door.
Hmm.
because it's actually the same thing.
Yeah.
The difference is the chiropractor. And I went to see one like last week. I had like a ache in my back, and I went there because it was an urgency, but it was super good. He told me, you know what? Let's make some, radio to see what's going on in your entire, body. And actually, I end up leaving the place with a 3 month treatment where I will meet the person twice a week. And you know what? This is what I needed, actually. So that's the difference. A chiropractor will analyze the situation, audit the body, and it will see exactly where the pain is coming from. So it will not just treat the symptom, it will treat, the problem itself. And then it will create a plan of action on several weeks, several months to treat you. And what's going on after the 3 months? Oh, we will reevaluate your situation. Instead of a massage therapist, most of them, they're not all like that, but most of them, they will just wait. The phone will ring. They will have an appointment with a client, and it will be, okay, bye, see you next time. That's it. So sometimes it's just the way you are making sure to, first of all, not just, serve the clients like they want, because clients think they know what they need, but actually they don't know what they really need. So this is why actually you have to ask them exactly the good questions to know exactly what they are looking for, what is the exact result they want, and then create a plan of action for them to succeed, with your help. And actually, like when I'm working with my clients, I always aim for them. Yeah, how can you have these clients for life? How can you help them today, but keep helping them, over and over and over, and keep them and grow your clientele like that? People always need more than they think they need. For an example, if someone's like, oh, you know what, I just want to reach 6-figure or 7 figures. Okay, here how we can do that. Or maybe they can maybe need I don't know, help to create a podcast. Great. But once you have a podcast, okay, now how do you sell that podcast? How do you transfer people from listening to the podcast to becoming clients? And how can you transform those clients into clients for life relationship?
Yes. And the tie I see there is going back to the problem solver mentality is you're seeking to understand the greater problem that they're coming to you with the idea that if you are in the right market, you are looking up for the ideal client, they're going to have a wider set of problems, which means you can offer a wider set of value. And it may not be right out of the gate because you might have to get your feet going with them and working with them. But a lot of times it can be, I've seen. And so, that kind of circles back to the value that they have with you then, for as long as that value can be attached. So, when you take the time to understand your buyer and the needs that they typically have that are associated with the thing that you're doing, then you're going to end up with more value that you can offer them, which, we are all looking for service providers of any kind, from your lawn maintenance all the way up to your physician, everybody in between that want to be problem solvers for us, and to proactively try to help us. So, if it's pitched price first, then we're going to probably be turned off. But if it's pitched value first, that then they understand our needs, and it demonstrates that they've done this, multiple times before, and they're good at what they do, we're going to want to attach ourselves to them, not let alone pay a higher price. So I love that. And the other thing that you mentioned that you kind of alluded to, I don't know if you mentioned it directly, was this idea of options, which is totally the way I advise my clients, because it shows too that, well, number one, it's a great mechanism to get someone involved so they don't feel the pressure to choose one thing. But so from a buying, strategy, it's good. But it also allows you to have a more final understanding and discussion around that final proposal, around what it is that they actually need, because you may not have gotten it exactly right, but they may say, well, I like option B, but we need some things from option C. Now they're going to really start to tell you everything, which you can then craft a custom offer at that point. And you're becoming more and more valuable. So I love this idea of options too. I mean, that's the way I operate too. Whenever I engage a new client, I don't ever want to presuppose that they need me at all, let alone, want to take the first thing that I tell them to do. So, I always want to make sure they understand that I am seeking to understand the full thing. So, but no, I was just saying, like, all of these concepts that we're talking about, aligning value to your, these are my words, kind of parroting back what you're saying, but aligning value to you, to your client, your buyer, to a particular market, the positioning, the pricing, all of these things are valuable to anyone who's selling anything, really. I mean, even you look at sneakers, there's an ecosystem of which you buy a sneaker. It's a brand ecosystem. It's not just the product. So, you're not looking at it and saying, this is worth the $13.50 it took to make it plus the plastic. You're looking at it. There's more value to it in your life, of what it will look like on your feet, what it will do in your workout routine, like all these things. So, I mean, it's not just B2B. It applies across the board.
Yeah, actually.
And these are great, very helpful, very insightful.
Actually, I went up with 5 pillars that are very, important for value. Actually, it's the result. Result's one thing, the transformation, the knowledge you acquire, the experience itself. For an example, if you have the time of your life, and this is an experience that you will remind yourself for the rest of your life, it's worth something, And also the human factor, what we talked about, will this bring some confidence in you? It will maybe change your status. How do you feel about it? And so those kind of 5 factors, and sometimes you don't have those 5 factors on one offer, but more you have the 5, and actually higher the price can be. So it's very interesting, actually, because a few years back, yes, I was looking for a formula. I was thinking, can we just create like a spreadsheet where I will add some information to it about my offer, and then boom, it will calculate the price. But I realized that it cannot exist, because there's too many like external factor that will actually affect the pricing. But often it's how much people are willing to pay to acquire what you're selling. That's the good questions to ask yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I think once a company if they were to take those 5 pillars as a framework of thinking, and they go into their market intentionally to learn more about all of these things about the buyer, how they fit in the market, what they're offering, kind of get a baseline of value, they could start to build their own formula inside their company. I think maybe not necessarily a spreadsheet that spits out a calculation, but probably pretty close to it, if they were to really make it a priority. So I think, for you, working across a span of many industries and disciplines, there's no formula, but there's definitely frameworks that apply. But I think companies could take this, and individuals could take these concepts and, really start to hone in and do the nitty gritty work of connecting the dots. I'm just think about, like, as a buyer, if you are a buyer and you think about what you're purchasing in the same way, but opposite, because you're the buyer, you can get so much more value. Like, that you're going out into the market to buy something versus sell something. You can get so much more value out of something that is priced too low, but the value's there. I'm planning a trip with my family overseas, and I'm looking at different things that we can do in the city. And I'm looking at, tours, and you can, make pastries, and you can do different things. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at the value that they've ascribed to it. But I know for me and my family and my daughters, and however this is going to hit us for the value it's going to give us and what we can add to it, it could be worth so much more. And I think it's a steal because they haven't priced it properly. So, it works on both sides. If you understand how this concept works, and you apply it to your life, you really can make the most out of the purchases that you make personally too.
Yeah, it's like in the car industry, there's a car for every needs, every people. You can just need
Mm-hmm.
something it's for the family. You can have a rental, or you can have a used car, and it's just enough. This
Mm-hmm.
is what we need right now. But maybe later in your life, oh, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
BMW, it's kind of, talking to me, and I want to invest in myself. And eventually, some
Mm-hmm.
people like Ferrari and big cars like that. Personally, I don't. I will
Mm-hmm.
never be a buyer, even if
Mm-hmm.
I'm making like, if I'm billionaire one day, I will never have that kind of car. Why? It's not in my,
Yeah.
it's not my style. But that's it. You
Yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
you have to choose exactly what is the level of your offer. Who do you want to attract with? Who do you want to have fun with, actually?